Hey everybody, and welcome back to Real Life Church Online. We're going to finish up our last midweek teaching time together in a series that we've entitled, If Money Talked. We're letting money do the talking, and I hope that you'll continue to spy on your money, all right? That's important. In fact, I hope that'll become a lifetime habit. I hope that you've begun thinking more like a manager than an owner of your money. And perhaps after our last session together, you've even begun to take some steps of give, save, and live. Now, as we wrap up, I want to take you and I want to ask you a big question on the surface that really doesn't have anything to do with money, but in the end, you'll discover it has everything to do with money. It's actually a question that Jesus sets up with, one of those parables. Now, this is one of my favorite parables that Jesus told. Now, I want you to listen because this is what he said. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. So let's stop there for just a second. Here's a rich guy who now has even more wealth because the ground produced an abundant harvest. The ground, by the way, which he had no control over. Jesus continued the parable. He says, the rich man thought to himself, what shall I do? Oh, what a great problem, right? I've got so much, I don't know what to do. This is what he said. What shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. And then he said, what shall I do? I will tear down my barns and I will build bigger ones. And there I will store up my surplus grain. Did you notice the word surplus grain? The extra grain? Now, on the surface, it doesn't seem like we have too much in common with this guy at all. But below the surface, let's just ask a couple questions. You ever had a garage sale because you've had too much stuff? I mean, have you ever carried a load or 2 or 20 to the Goodwill? Ever had a hard time in putting stuff in the attic because the attic was so full with stuff you already had? The basement also? Stuff we're not using anymore? Well, maybe we do have a little bit more in common with this guy than first meets the eye, but let's go back to the parable. I'll say to myself, I have plenty of grain laid up for many, many years. I'll take life easy, I'll eat, I'll drink, and I'll be merry. Wow, that's like really good advice. I like that. Isn't that the goal right there? Isn't that the American dream? I mean, to have enough money to do whatever you want. I mean, to save enough so that you can retire and buy whatever you want later. I mean, really, if you've done things right, you have enough money to make sure your kids are even taken care of. If you could do that, you've done a pretty good job. I mean, you're blessed, right? So everyone thought in Jesus's audience, and then Jesus dropped the hammer. He went on in the parable and he said to him, the rich man, you fool. Now, everybody in Jesus' audience at that point would have probably been taken aback. I mean, if this is the first time you've ever read this parable, you're probably thinking the same thing. I mean, he achieved the goal. He's living life to the fullest. Clearly, there's got to be some disconnect. But God said, you fool, this very night, your life will be demanded of you. Now listen to the question, Then who will get what you prepared for yourself? Wow. That's a great question. And we've talked about this, right? You've got all this money and stuff and possessions and all that kind of stuff. And we did say this, we're going to run out of time before we run out of money. We're going to run out of time before we run out of stuff. And then God asked the man, wait a second. He asked you, who's going to get all that stuff that you prepared for yourself? Now, this is the point of the parable that Jesus is addressing his audience, And he addresses us as well. And this is what he said. This is how it will be. And I've described it for you. I've illustrated it for you. This is how it will be a total and complete loss of everything. As in everything left behind. He ate, he drank, he was married, and then he what? He died. And he had nothing meaningful to show for his life. And this is how it will be for everyone who stores up things for themselves, but is not rich towards God. See, Jesus is not teaching about prepping for the future. What Jesus is saying, this is how it will be for anyone who prepares for their future and is not rich towards God. Someone who assumes the consumption assumption that we've talked about, the assumption that everything is about me, my consumption. It's a mistake. The man built barns, bigger barns, because he thought that he had it all. And in the end, it was a total loss. Do you remember what Money said back in session 1? Money said, I can add meaning to your life, but I'm not the meaning of life. I can add meaning to your life, okay? But I am not the meaning of life. The rich man never realized that. He thought his money was a gift, not a tool. He thought his money was everything, not the tool for us to manage. Maybe he thought it was an entitlement or reward for him to sit back and enjoy, and it cost him everything. Now, Jesus teaches that money is just a tool, and it can add meaning to our life. Now, here's that question again, the one that I asked you at the very beginning. To what point do you want your life to have meaning? It can't be money, right? I mean, it has to be something else. It has to have purpose bigger than what the rich man had. I mean, he thought it was all about himself, his whole life, all of his wealth, all of his possessions, and it had no meaning. And it was gone, and it was a total loss. And again, for our life to have meaning, it must mean that money is a tool to us. So, to what end do you want your life to have meaning? Then our money can help us have meaning in our life, but it's not the end all, be all. I mean, what do you want people to say about you when they're at your funeral? Do you want them to line up and talk about your possessions, the stuff that you have? Let's face it, it ain't gonna happen. Or do you want people to line up and talk about your life had meaning because you learned to use money as a tool? Let me break this down one last time and give us some practical guidance here. We talked about this. We give where our heart is. What's got your heart today? I mean, really, what has your heart? Man, I hope it's God. I really do. I hope you're seeking first His kingdom, because He says when you do, He's going to add all that stuff, okay? The stuff that you're worried about, He's going to add it to your life. So where and what brings you meaning today? Man, I hope it's God. Let me also ask you this. What breaks your heart today? I mean, there's a lot of things out there also, right? The things that we can support and give to. I mean, things that break my heart. I've got compassion kits, okay? That breaks my heart that there are people that are living in our world, okay, that again, don't have what we have. And so what breaks your heart? Maybe it's homeless. Maybe it's a children's hospital. Maybe it's some disease out there. Let me encourage you. Find meaning in your life by helping support and giving to others instead of just accumulating more and more stuff. So let me ask this one more time. What do you want people to say about you? What gives your life meaning? What gives your life purpose? Address it. Give to what matters to you most. So that kind of brings our whole series to an end. I hope and pray that you're going to be looking at money a little bit different. I hope you'll look at money as if money could talk, because it does match up with what Jesus did say about money a long time ago. Now here, starting in a couple weeks, we're going to be kicking off a summer teaching series called the Summer Games. Now, you're probably aware of this already, but right now, while we're taping this, the Olympics are right around the corner. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this idea of the Summer Olympics and we're going to develop some messages and put some spiritual application to them. It's going to be a great series and you don't want to miss it. I want to just say, hey, thanks for being a part of our series. Thanks for being part of our Wednesday teachings. And you know what? I'll see you on Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, 10:30, and 12 in Spanish. And you know what? We're going to have some organizations here that are going to tell you a little bit about who they are. So again, you can give your life meaning. All right? I'll see you next time at Real Life Church.